Joey, a soldier for the U.S. Army, is reading a pulp science fiction magazine. Another soldier, Mittens, badgers him for a magazine that features blonde aliens on the cover. Joey informs him that he gave a soldier in G Company a packet of cigarettes in exchange for a magazine. Sergeant Stone checks on his medic Phillips, who had earlier hurt his ankle, at another location in the community. The radio man, Ferguson, interrupts the conversation to say that he is unable to raise HQ and that all he is receiving on the radio are bizarre electronic noises. When Sarge checks his compass, he sees that it is spinning erratically. He also checks Ferguson's compass, which is also useless. German troops are forming up behind the backs of the U.S. soldiers and moving toward the town in preparation for an attack. A soldier identifies himself as Charlie Dolan and takes a picture of Joey and Mittens back at the bridge. Joey questions whether Dolan will write a narrative on his unit because he recognized the name as a well-known author. The other squads, which ought to have arrived in the town by this point, have not yet been heard from, according to Sarge, who checks in with the lieutenant and reports that the radio is broken. Stone's worries are disregarded by the lieutenant, who is confident that the relief forces are approaching over a nearby hill. When he goes to look into anything, the approaching Germans kill him. The remaining American soldiers hide as the Germans press forward. Sarge instructs his men to leave the settlement and head towards a neighboring wood after observing the enemy's strength. Both Ferguson and Phillips are slain during the retreat. The German onslaught is halted by Sarge's ambush, which he sets up in the background. Only 4 of the original team, including Sarge, were still alive when they regrouped in the woods. Sarge has Mittens in a rage. The new lieutenant would not have been in control, and Sarge would not have permitted the ambush to occur if he had accepted a combat commission. It becomes more and more clear that they are lost as they make their way through the forest. Sarge attempts his compass several times but is unsuccessful. Unnoticed by the soldiers, a being with a 3-fingered hand stands in the shadows and keeps watch over them. When the Americans are spotted, a German mortar position fires. The bullet strikes a tree, which starts to fall on the soldiers who are seeking cover. The invisible being fires off a device that rapidly vaporizes the tree debris. The Americans get out of the Germans' line of sight before finding refuge for the night in an old, deserted farmhouse. Dolan starts probing Mittens about his connection to Sarge. He ponders whether Sarge can save them from their current predicament. Dolan discovers Velma's name is scrawled on Mittens' rifle. Until Mittens says it is a female who beat him up in 1st grade, Dolan wonders whether that is his wife. To take the first watch, Joey is dispatched. He hears unusual noises and the sound of someone approaching as he circles the farmhouse. When he goes to look, he discovers a group of odd, luminous eggs on the ground and a strange, hairy creature watching them. He returns to the farmhouse and sets his science fiction magazine on fire after concluding that the episode was all in his head. He resumes his sentry duties after being satisfied. He tells Dolan what he observed the following morning and expresses concern that he was going crazy. Dolan is intrigued by his narrative. Dolan is less alarmed and believes he spotted some wildlife after Mitten reported seeing a deer in the woods during his watch. Dolan is determined to try and kill it, against Mitten's better judgment, so the two begin hunting. They locate the spot where Mitten spotted the animal, and Dolan starts looking for it. Sarge discovers Joey at the farmhouse, who informs him of the search. Sarge is enraged and goes in search of the other 2 men right away. The 2 hunters come across an abandoned SS camp as they ascend a hill. Dolan wants to investigate, but Mittens advises that they return to meet Joey and Sarge. A chunk of metal is discovered by Joey on the woodland floor. He yells in pain as soon as he lifts it up due to the metal's extreme cold. Dolan's disregarded Mittens and entered the SS camp undetected to investigate the situation. He discovers a number of maps and sketches for what he believes to be a brand new Nazi secret weapon. While still attempting to connect with Mittens and Dolan's, Sarge and Joey come across what appears to be the remains of a fallen spacecraft. Mittens sneaks in and shoots the guard when Dolan's is caught pouring through the paperwork and is therefore unarmed. More Germans arrive and apprehend Dolan and Mittens as they successfully flee. To discover if there are any survivors of the collision, the Sarge and Joey find a way into the wreck and start exploring. They try to find the engines because they can hear equipment noises emanating from the lower parts of the ship. After falling through a gap, they come across the corpse of one of the animals Joey witnessed the night before. In the room they've entered, Joey discovers a chair that isn't occupied. Joey speculates that the survivor who will occupy the vacant seat is the creature he saw the previous evening. Sarge observes a group of German soldiers approaching the spacecraft as they investigate the control systems. Joey discovers a ventilation shaft that leads to the ship's outside as the Germans roam around the ship, and the two men successfully escape. They overhear two Germans discussing Charlie Dolan's detention as they flee. Given that the Germans are in charge of the ship's wreckage, Sarge determines that blowing it up is the wisest course of action. Joey is instructed to launch a hand grenade into one of the engine bays, which sets off a series of explosions that kill every German and completely obliterate the ship's remains. German soldiers at the SS camp unload a cage that looks to contain the ship's captured pilot. Colonel Mannheim, the camp's commander, introduces himself to the prisoners and starts questioning them about any knowledge they may have concerning the crashed spacecraft. The questioning is interrupted by a scientist. The animal in the cage has changed into a sizable egg in the shape of a pine cone that seems to be glowing. Mannheim touches the egg, causing the beast to emerge from its hiding place and assault Mannheim. Adolf Hitler stops by the location late at night to examine the alien that was captured. He pauses briefly to inspect the inmates. Mitten punches Hitler in the nose after realizing his hands are no longer restrained. After setting up the alien's transportation to Berlin, he departs. The two convicts are kept in the dog kennels while the alien is loaded into a truck and driven to Berlin the following morning. Joey surprises them by showing up dressed as a German and explaining the escape route. As part of Sarge's plan, he will also capture the alien and try to get it back to the lines of the Allies. As soon as one of the German officers realizes Joey is American, the plan falls apart, and instead of waiting until nightfall, they flee in the open. When they arrive at the truck carrying the alien, they are shocked to see Sarge at the wheel. The truck veers off the road while trying to flee. The extraterrestrial intervenes and deploys a force field around the truck, rendering the Germans' rocket launcher strike ineffectual. Following the assault, they proceed on foot while carrying the alien. They seek sanctuary in a deserted family tomb as darkness falls. Mittens decides to stand vigil outside since he doesn't want to insult the deceased before the sound of wild animals forces him indoors. As they settle in, Sarge asks Dolans to accompany him outdoors. The reporter is then questioned by Sarge on what he actually knows. Dolans was dropped off with their unit 2 days ago. A spaceship, aliens, and SS soldiers are now pursuing them. Dolans argues that everything is just a coincidence and that he really is there to research an article about Sarge. He tells Stone that among the GIs, he is now considered a legend. At least 20 times he has reportedly been murdered, but he always survives Mittens, and Joey unintentionally finds the creature eating tobacco in the tomb. It offers to trade cigarettes for a tiny device. While tinkering with the device and attempting to understand how it works, a little green beam jumps from it, interacts with Joey's skull, and instantly generates a replica of a woman who seduces Joey. The woman catches the attention of the two males, and the alien takes out a revolver. Instead of killing the men, he uses it as evidence of who he is and what he is doing. The alien has left in the morning. The remnants of an egg are all that is left. As Joey puts it, the monster makes the eggs for itself to sleep in. The four men follow the beast to where it crashed. They come encounter a second spacecraft carrying a new group of aliens who seem to be a rescue crew. After briefly speaking to them in human form, one of the aliens reveals that the extraterrestrial they have been guarding is a girl. A German tank comes on the scene and starts firing the spaceship as it prepares to launch. The tank is promptly destroyed when the alien fires a little projectile at it. Joey perishes in the assault. While the aliens work to fix their ship, the Americans bury Joey, and Dolans informs that a German patrol is on its way. The aliens decline Sarge's request for assistance. Sarge sends his team out to attempt to ambush the enemy because he is determined to stop the Nazis from succeeding. Although the ambush is only partially successful, the Americans run out of ammo. Sarge makes a surrender offer and arranges to speak with the German leader. Sarge approaches the officer and pulls out a hand grenade, killing Sarge and killing the German. When a second German patrol shows up in their rear, Dolans and Mittens start to think about reversing course. The guys are taken aback when a ray weapon starts killing Germans when they expect to perish. The aliens have changed their minds and are now willing to aid the Americans. The Germans are defeated within a short period of time. Dolan and Mitten bid the aliens farewell that night as they depart in their repaired spacecraft. Later, the Sarge is standing in the middle of the road as Dolan and Mittens consider their choices. He miraculously survived the explosion and is heading back to the Allied lines.